Breaking news from the edge of our own sky. Yet older and stranger than any headline, a messenger has slipped across the invisible fence of our solar system, a wanderer from a distant sun. Astronomers call it 3I Atlas, the third confirmed traveler from another star. But names and catalog numbers are a thin veil. They do not capture what it feels like to stand beneath a night sky and watch a pinprick of red awaken, shift to an unearthly green, and flare with sudden, violent surges as its tail bends impossibly toward the sun. These are not minor anomalies. They are fractures in the rules we thought were fixed, echoes of something vast pressing against the edges of what we believe is possible. You feel this even if you cannot name it, that hollow in your chest, the restless nights, the sense that something beyond your everyday life is knocking softly at the borders of your awareness. Those sensations are not random. Atlas has not only crossed into our solar system, it has crossed into your moment. Its path, its timing, its very light seem chosen to intercept your attention. That is why I urge you now, stay with me until the end of this message. Do not scroll away. Subscribe, become part of this unfolding revelation, and in the comments below, write the sacred number 999, your manifestation code, a signal to the universe that you are awake, aware, and ready to receive. This isn't superstition, it's participation. It's the act of stepping into the pattern instead of merely watching it. Instruments can measure brightness, velocity, and orbital inclination. They can reduce a miracle to a spreadsheet, but they cannot count what the sky is testing in you. When a star-born traveler glows as though alive, it speaks in a language beyond charts and calibration. Consider this. At the very instant Atlas could show us its clearest face, it will vanish into plain sight behind the sun. From Earth, our view will be blinded. Only distant orbiters, silent machines circling other worlds, will glimpse the truth. Coincidence? Or is the timing itself part of the message trying to be revealed? This visitor does not approach by mistake. Its path skirts Mars, sweeps past Jupiter, and angles itself away from Earth as though it knows exactly where and whether to be seen. Every flare, every color shift, every impossible twist of its tail is more than spectacle. It is an invitation. You can dismiss it as another curious headline, or you can treat it as what it may truly be, a summons to pay attention, a mirror held up to our species and to you personally. Because when Atlas reaches the fire of perihelion, something will happen that cannot be measured only by telescopes. It will also be measured in the choices you make next. Stay with me as we peel back the layers of this story. For weeks, Earth's telescopes will be blinded by the sun's glare at the very moment Atlas might reveal its true nature, almost as though this visitor chose the one place in the sky where we cannot look. So the question becomes unavoidable. What is it hiding? To answer that, we must go back to the beginning. The story of 3Y Atlas did not begin with a spectacular burst of light, but with a faint blur. On July 1st, 2025, high in the mountains of Chile, robotic telescopes captured a small moving dot against the background stars. Nothing seemed unusual. It was cataloged like thousands of other minor bodies. But then the orbit calculations came back. The speed was too great, the trajectory refused to fit, and the truth emerged. This was no local object. This was only the third confirmed visitor from another star system. That is what 3I means. I for interstellar, 3 for the third ever found. The first, Oumuamua, stunned scientists in 2017 with its impossible shape and mysterious acceleration. The second, Borisov, appeared in 2019, burning like a more traditional comet yet seeded with strange chemistry. Now Atlas, different again, stranger still. 3 arrivals in less than a decade after billions of years with none. Coincidence or pattern? At first, Atlas looked ordinary, a faint streak, a small coma, just a little cloud of dust and ice. But recovery images showed it had been hiding in the data for weeks. Think about that. An interstellar traveler slipping past our gaze until the exact moment we were ready to notice. Once larger telescopes turned their eyes toward it, the strangeness multiplied. The coma bloomed too far from the sun. The tail refused to behave. Then the glow began to shift, red, then suddenly green. Not the steady brightening of a natural comet, but unpredictable jumps, almost like pulses, almost like signals. So what exactly are we dealing with? That is the mystery, and that is why this story has chosen you. Atlas follows a hyperbolic path. It will never return. It is a one-time encounter, a message we can only read once. And right now, as its brightness climbs beyond every prediction, scientists are forced to admit this object does not play by the rules. Each interstellar visitor so far has been unique, rewriting the script. Atlas is no exception. In fact, it may be the loudest one yet. And here's where it gets even stranger. When Atlas was first cataloged, astronomers thought it was nothing more than ice and rock. But the more they looked, the more the object fought back against every prediction. Its glowing atmosphere spread wider than it should. Its brightness surged when it wasn't supposed to. And then came the shift, that sudden, unexplainable green. You might think green light is normal for comets. It isn't. Usually that glow comes from a very specific gas, dicarbon. But here's the twist. Observations of Atlas showed almost no dicarbon at all. Instead, scientists found something unexpected. Carbon dioxide, traces of nickel, cyanogen. Enough to puzzle every model, but not enough to explain the eerie emerald light now pulsing across the sky. Which leaves only one conclusion. Atlas is doing something we've never seen before. In just days, Atlas will pass dangerously close to Mars. Not close enough to collide, but close enough for orbiters around the red planet to capture images no telescope on Earth can take. Think about that. For the first time in history, we may photograph an interstellar visitor not from Earth, but from another world. Cameras circling Mars, aimed outward, could frame a traveler from another star as it sweeps by. What will those pictures show? A fractured comet shedding dust? Or something else? Sharp edges, structured lines, hints of design? Even more unsettling, the timing could not be more deliberate. As Atlas grows brightest, Earth itself will be blind. The sun's glare will hide it from our telescopes during the critical weeks of October. If anything unusual happens, if it fragments, if it bursts, if it releases smaller bodies, we may not see it. Unless, of course, that is exactly the point. Unless the coincidence of hiding behind the sun was part of the plan all along. And this is where the story shifts from pure science into something far more personal. Because you are not just watching a comet, you are watching a test, a riddle written in the sky. You can choose to call it coincidence, or you can ask the harder question, why now? Why here? Why are these interstellar visitors appearing one after another, after eons of silence, right at the time when we finally have the technology to notice them? Stay with me. Because in the next few moments, we will uncover why Atlas may not be a natural traveler at all, and how its every move might already be part of a message meant for you. This is not fear. This is awakening. The universe speaks in movements, in patterns, in timing, and it speaks most clearly to those who dare to listen. The countdown has already begun. Atlas is racing toward its closest approach to the sun, its speed climbing higher every single day. But here's the detail most people don't realize. The closer it gets, the stranger it becomes. Normal comets brighten in smooth, predictable curves. Atlas doesn't. It jumps, it flares, it pulses as though it has a heartbeat. Ask yourself, does ice do that? Does rock? Or is there something inside this object, something more than frozen dust, that responds in bursts, almost as if it's signaling? By September, astronomers were already alarmed. The brightness wasn't just above predictions, it was far above, climbing into magnitudes no model could explain. Imagine building a roadmap for a car only to watch it leave the road entirely and carve its own path through the mountains. That's what Atlas is doing right now. It isn't following the script, it's writing a new one. And here's where it gets chilling. October 3rd, circle that date. That's when Atlas will pass near Mars, so close that orbiters circling the red planet could see details invisible to Earth. Think about what that means. Cameras on another world aimed at an object from another star. For the first time in history, humanity could witness an interstellar visitor up close. But the question is, what will we actually see? Will it be just fragments, clouds of dust, a broken comet collapsing under heat? Or will it be something else, something with form, with structure, with intention? His is why so many are whispering what others won't dare say out loud. What if Atlas isn't natural at all? Now, before you dismiss that idea, listen to the pattern. Oumuamua in 2017. Mysterious, elongated, accelerating in ways physics couldn't fully explain. Borisov in 2019. Strange chemistry unlike comets born here. And now Atlas in 2025. Shifting colors, impossible tail, bursts of brightness timed almost like signals. 3 visitors, one after another, in less than a decade, after billions of years of silence. Why now? Why us? Some will call it chance, others will call it science. But deep down, you already feel it. This is not random. This is not background noise. This is communication. The question is whether you will listen. And just when Earth's curiosity is at its peak, Atlas disappears behind the sun, hidden, untouchable, perfectly timed, so that from Earth's point of view, we are blinded. You couldn't script it better if you tried. The very moment of greatest revelation concealed, as if the object itself chose to step behind the curtain. Ask yourself, is that really coincidence? Or is it the move of something that doesn't want to be watched? But here's the part that matters most, you. Because you are living in the age when these messengers arrive. You are the one who gets to decide what they mean. You can ignore the signs, scroll past the headlines, tell yourself it's just ice and dust, or you can lean closer, pay attention, and realize that every flare, every color shift, every sudden surge of light is a signal meant to awaken something inside you. You were told a story of a comet. What has arrived is far stranger. Atlas is cutting through space with a boldness we never expected, rewriting every prediction with each passing day. Instruments that usually behave like clocks now produce data that stumbles, numbers that jump where they should be smooth. Small teams of researchers, the ones who speak in careful language, have begun to trade blunt sentences in private channels. This doesn't fit. They do not say it to frighten you. They say it because they are running out of ordinary explanations. Listen closely to what matters now: timing. In the coming weeks, the object will move into a window the majority of us cannot peer into. When it matters most, when whatever is inside or around Atlas reaches a peak of activity, our sky will be saturated by the sun's glare. That means for critical days, the only live witnesses will be machines positioned elsewhere and a handful of teams who know where to look. You may watch the news and see grainy feeds released later, but the first hints, the first raw frames will be filtered and delayed. If you want to be among the few who understand the pattern as it unfolds, you must pay attention now, not when polished headlines arrive. In an age of noise, discernment is the new power. This is not just about data. It is about developing a way of seeing, a readiness of spirit. We need to reframe what strange looks like. Forget the idea of a single shock. Atlas has been moving through stages, each one different from the last. There were quiet weeks where it seemed insignificant, then an abrupt rise in brightness, then a color shift that did not match what anyone expected. These are not isolated quirks. Think of them as a sequence, a set of markers laid down like breadcrumbs. Whoever, or whatever sent them, if sent, knows how to command attention. The pattern has cadence. It repeats motifs. It pauses. It accelerates. And that rhythm is what catches the eye of anyone awake enough to hear it. This is how communication begins, not with a single message, but with a sequence, a pulse, a rhythm. Every culture on Earth knows this intuitively. Every drumbeat, every heartbeat, every signal of life begins with repetition. Now picture October 3rd from a vantage you don't usually imagine. A camera orbiting another planet, trained on this visitor, while Earth waits, unable to look. That image stream will be the closest thing we'll get to a live reading. If you want speculation, here it is in simple terms. Either we will see the expected jets, fragments, dusty chaos, or we will see features that break the expected box, abrupt, linear, repeated angles, flashes that recur in intervals. You were told this was a story about a comet, but Atlas has shattered that frame. It is cutting across space with defiance, not as debris, but as a disruptor. A messenger cloaked in light, breaking every model, every pattern, every assumption. Instruments that once measured with the precision of clocks now stagger. Numbers that should be smooth now leap. Astronomers whisper quietly in private channels. This doesn't fit. It's not fear they're voicing, it's reverence. They are running out of ordinary explanations. Because Atlas doesn't follow the rules, it writes new ones, and the deeper it dives toward the sun, the more it becomes clear. We are no longer observing. We are being observed. What matters now is not the object alone, but the timing. In these crucial weeks, Earth will be blind. The visitor will vanish behind the brilliance of the sun, hidden at the moment of greatest revelation. Our telescopes, our eyes, our technologies will fail us, but Mars will not. The orbiters circling the red planet will become our only witnesses. Silent watchers aimed at an interstellar mystery few dare to name aloud. And here is the turning point. What if it doesn't crumble like a comet? What if it doesn't behave like rock and ice at all? What if it changes direction? What if it pulses? What if, as some suspect, it was never natural to begin with? The data has hinted at this for weeks. Atlas has a coma too wide, a tail too curved, light that doesn't fade or flicker, but bursts, sudden, rhythmic, almost alive. These aren't random, they're patterned, and pattern implies structure. Structure implies origin. Origin implies design, and design implies intention. But let's leave astronomy for a moment and speak plainly, soul to soul. What if this isn't about the comet at all? What if it's about you? You feel it, don't you? The pulse behind these words, the ripple in your chest when you stare at the sky and sense something is coming, something not yet named, a change too large to measure. And that's not imagination, that's alignment. This is not science versus spirit. This is both in harmony. Science gives us the lens, but it is spirit that helps us see. So ask yourself, why now? After billions of years of cosmic silence, 3 interstellar visitors arrive within a single decade. Oumuamua, Borisov, now Atlas, each stranger than the last, each defying expectation, each time when we are just now advanced enough to notice, just aware enough to look deeper. That's not chaos, that's choreography. And Atlas? It's the crescendo. Its behavior is not random, it's sequenced. From faint blur to sudden brightness, from silent trajectory to sky-rattling pulses of green light, it has moved through phases like verses in a sacred hymn. Quiet weeks, then eruptions, then shifts. Not the wild flailing of a dying object, but the deliberate performance of something that wants to be seen, just not all at once. And maybe that's the whole message. That revelation comes in phases. That truth arrives in symbols. That awakening is not granted, it's chosen. The news will filter in, but it will be late, edited, polished. But those paying attention now will have already heard the rhythm. You'll see it in the raw data first. A pulse of light repeating at precise intervals. That is your sign. If you see it, not in the headlines but in the signal, you'll know this was not just a comet, it was a communication. And if that's true, then Atlas is not passing through your life by accident. It's calling something out of you. It's an activation, a test, a spiritual Morse code blinking across the heavens saying, "Are you watching? Are you listening? Are you ready?" Because the most powerful knowledge does not arrive in explanations. It arrives in timing, in intuition, in readiness, and those who are ready will hear it. So here's your task. Stay awake, stay open. Don't let noise dull your perception. Don't wait for consensus to tell you what is real. The universe does not explain itself to the masses. It speaks in clues to the courageous, and you are one of them. The chosen few who see the cracks in the veil and lean closer, not away. As the veil of October draws near, remember, this isn't just about a celestial visitor. It's about a mirror being held up to humanity and to you. When Atlas vanishes behind the sun, the world may sleep. But your soul, it must remain alert. Because those who stay tuned, those who feel the stir, will inherit the understanding before the world gives it a name. And so, this is your final invitation. When the sky speaks, do not blink. When the pulse comes, do not doubt. Watch, listen, align. The pattern has spoken, the moment has arrived, and the next move, it is yours.